Hi and welcome to Whiskey Shared. In this episode I'll be taking on the Lunar Arran Blind Tasting Challenge. I'm Toby and you're watching Whiskey Shared. In this episode I'll be taking on a blind challenge from one of my subscribers, Lunar Arran. I've got 4 whiskies, they're labelled A, B, C and D. I've no idea what's in them. I'll give you a quick idea of the colours. If I put this bit of paper behind, you should be able to see the colour of them. I've no idea what they are. I've got a series of envelopes with different challenges to reveal different things along the way, but I've no idea what's in store for me. Should we find out? On to the whiskey. So before I start, I'll label them A, B, C and D underneath each glass so you can follow along and know what I'm drinking. And I'm really grateful to Luna for sending me this challenge because it's reminiscent of the Aqua Vitae blind challenges, and I'm really pleased to take on a challenge like this. So challenge number 1 is country of origin. Let's open this up and see what it says. We have Germany, Scotland, Sweden and USA. Let's start with nosing them. So A. Right, so I pick up those typical sort of bourbon notes. Yeah, it's very sort of sweet brown sugars, that sort of cherry cola, cola cubes, that sort of thing. I'm really picking that up on A, so let's do that. Let's try B on the nose. Right, so instantly I get a lot of peat. That's like an earthy, almost meaty peat, not too much sweetness. My instant reaction is that's Scotland. So let's move on to C. It's a little bit floral, a little bit fruity. My instant reaction would be Sweden, and that's only because I've never had a German whiskey, not that I can think of, so that'd be my choice for that one. And let's try D. It's quite sweet. Quite malty on the nose. See, my instant reaction would be that that's the Swedish one. So let's taste them. So typical bourbon, that's no different. There's no way that's any of the other countries from tasting that. So I don't need to change anything on my list. Let's try B. Nice hint of peat. It's got a decent ABV to it, maybe 46, 48. Yeah, it definitely reminds me of a peated Scotch whisky. It's quite earthy and meaty. Yeah, really like that. So, moving on to C. You see, my instant reaction taste-wise is that's the German whiskey. But Now, I have tried other Swedish whiskies, but from my familiarity with Macmira, which is the one I'm most familiar with, I'd say that that one isn't it, and that one is, yeah, I think that one's the German one. Try the last one. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to stick with Sweden with that one. It's quite malty. It's not overly sweet. It doesn't seem like it's that high ABV, but I have had 3 other whiskies, and yeah, I suppose that it's the one I'd pick out of these 4 for being the Swedish whiskey. So, should we find out if I'm right? So I've got a little solutions envelope. Let's have a look and see if I'm right. So A was USA, got that right. B was Germany, so I got that wrong. C was Sweden. I did think that at first until obviously D came along, and I thought that was Sweden. D is Scotland. So USA, Germany, Sweden, Scotland. So in the first round, I got 1 right. Challenge number 2 is ages and finishes. So one of these could be a non-age statement, minimum 3 years old. One could be younger than 5 years, but that could also apply to the same one as A. And then 2 of them have a finish or second maturation. So instantly, I'm going to rule out A. Let's think about finishes. I'm going to rule out A as being finished. And I'm going to go to this one here, which was Scottish. I don't think this one. No, I'm picking up tropical fruits on this one now. I don't think this one is finished. The peated one could be, it could be, looking at that colour. I don't know if you can see. Hopefully that's natural, it might not be. But that colour looks a bit on the sherried side. But I'm not really picking it up, and that could be because of the peat overwhelms. So let's just go to C, which was the Swedish whiskey. Yeah, see, that could be finished in something. The Swedes are well known for finishing their whiskies in lots of interesting casks. There's definitely a fruitiness there. I'm going to have another sip. Yeah, I'm picking up. See, it's funny, because I haven't tried the peated whiskey straight before. I can taste more in this one now. I'm getting like a dry sort of tannic. Could be some sort of wine influence. So I think that one's finished. I don't think this one's finished, but I'll have a sip of water and try that one again. And then if this isn't, then as a matter of deduction, I think that B is. It's difficult to tell. I'm not picking up enough flavour from this one. I'm picking up a little bit of spiciness, I'm picking up tropical fruits. Not really picking up any dryness. Not picking up any extra hints of any other fruits or flavours. So my guess would be the B and C are finished in something. But then one of them is a young whiskey, possibly only 3 years old, and one of them is younger than 5 years old, and that could be that whiskey as well. I think this one has got some sort of age to it. I'd say 8 to 10 years old. This one could be quite young, but it says Nas whiskey, so I don't think it's going to be that one, because bourbon could be really quite young. I'm going to go for the German one, being younger than 5 years, maybe just only 3 years old, non-age statement. So I think B and C are finished in something, and I think B is the young whiskey. So B meets the category of A and B on the ages. Let's find the solution and see if I'm right. So, right. So B has an age statement. It's not Nas. It is younger than 5 years old. It's 3 years old. So basically, the category of A and B applies to B. I was right, and the reason I went for that was because Luna's from Germany. She's popped in the German whiskey. She's going to try and catch me out. So I went for that. So I got that correct, and it was C and D which were matured in other casks, not B and C. So C was finished in fruit wine casks. Could be a Mackmyra. They're very good at doing that. And D had a second maturation in quarter casks. So that's really interesting. The final challenge is ABV. So let's open this and see what Luna's going to ask me in terms of ABV. So, one is higher than 60%. Don't think I'll pick that up yet. One is below 50%. Put them in the order of lowest to highest. Below 50% is lowest ABV. Okay. So that's interesting because none of them stood out to be more than 50%, but clearly one is, and one is clearly below 50%. So let me try them again. I'll try the peated last because I don't want that to overwhelm my palate. So let's start with A. Okay, I've taken more of a mouthful of A this time, and A seems like it's got more ABV. Wouldn't necessarily say it's got more than 60%, but it's definitely spicier than it was before. So that's a candidate. Let's have some water and try the next one. Right, so let's try the Swedish one. I'm gravitating towards Mackmyra because that's what I have most familiarity with, and they tend to keep their whiskies under 50%. I'd definitely say that's under 50%. Let's try D. Okay, D seems like it's got more heat, but as only one is below 50%, one is higher than 50%, C seems quite weak in comparison to D. So with D, I would say that's higher than 50%. So as I think that's the lowest and that at the moment is the highest, I think that's the middle ground. Let's see where this one sits. Yeah. My guess is I've got to put them lowest to highest. So lowest is C, followed by B, followed by D, followed by A. So I think C is the one below 50% and A is the one higher than 60%. Shall we find out how wrong I am? This is such a great challenge. So, moment of truth is A is higher than 60% and C is lower than 50%. So I got those right. So it goes C, D, B, A, and I put C, B, D, A. So lowest at 48.1%, that's higher than I thought. That really is. I would have guessed that was only about 44%. D is the next at 53.8%. I'm really surprised at that because at first I didn't think any were above 50%. Then we've got B, which is 54.2%, and then we've got A, which is 61.7%. So for a 61.7% whiskey, that really is surprising. High proof bourbons tend to really make me salivate and sometimes even make my eyes water. So when you get the fumes on evaporation, they really kick in. So that is a surprise, but I got two right. I don't think that's too bad. So I have a final bit of paper which says, if you still fancy to continue, have a guess at the distilleries and brands. So my guess for C, I don't know if I've got to open this, so I won't open it yet until I've had a stab. C, I think, is Mackmyra. Mackmyra are known for their fruit wine cask maturation. ABV's a little high, so not totally convinced, but that would be my guess, because I think the likes of High Coast and is it Heaven? I don't think they do fruit wine cask maturation, so I don't think it's one of those. So I would think that that's Mackmyra. A's an interesting one. That could be something like Elijah Craig. I've not tried Elijah Craig barrel proof. I do have a sample of it, but from what I've heard, for high proof American whiskey, I think it's 12 years old, but it isn't a whiskey that makes you think, wow, high ABV. So that could be Elijah Craig. The German one shows how much I pay attention to whiskies from Germany. I've no idea what brand that could be. And D, for Scotch whiskey, said it was aged in quarter casks. Can't immediately think of anything in quarter casks, so really don't know. But that tropical fruit note I get from things like Glenmorangie, I get it from Jura, I get it from a lot of the sort of mainstream, especially like Diageo brands as well, like Dalwhinnie, and even some of the Johnnie Walker blends. But I think as this is most likely single malt, don't think it's a blended whiskey. It might be a blended whiskey. So let's open this up, as I guess this will probably be a reveal of what's in each glass. So it says A is Bullet Bourbon Frontier Whiskey Barrel Strength, 61.7%. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon, batch 3, 5 to 8 year olds, which is a mash bill of 68% corn and 28% rye and 4% malted barley. I didn't realise you could get a barrel strength bullet. I've had standard bullet, and I think I've only had that once. I don't think I could have picked that out from the barrel strength whiskies I have had, especially as originally I didn't even think that was high enough to be barrel strength. So let's see what B is. So B is, I think it says St. Kilian Signature No. 2. It's a 3-year-old whiskey from Germany. It's 54.2%, and it's aged in Amarone wine casks. So it's yeah, so it's a mix of different finishes, different cask sizes, and yeah, I've never had a German whiskey before, so that's really a surprise to me. And C is a Mac Mirror. I wasn't wrong with that. It's Mac Mirror Moments. Is that Jakt? Spelled J-A-K-T. I'm not sure how the Swedes pronounce that. It's 48.1%, and yeah, it's in fruit wine casks from lingonberry and blueberry, according to this. It's approximately 10 years old, but it has also been in ex-bourbon and PX sherry casks for some of its life, along with those special fruit wine casks. And D, so D is a brand I haven't got around to trying yet. D is Arran, the Bothy quarter cask. I think that's one of the new ones, the new bottle shape. That's batch 4, 53.8% cask strength. It's a non-age statement, and it's spent 18 months in quarter casks. So I'm really grateful to Luna for letting me try these, especially German whiskey, as I've never tried that. Do I have a favourite? Do you know what? I think it's really difficult to pick a favourite, because these whiskies are so different. But if I had to pick which ones I would drink in order, do you know what? I think the bourbon would come first. That's probably my favourite, because it's a high strength whiskey with those rich bourbon sugar flavours, but without the burn. That's really quite surprising. Second, I think, would be the German whiskey. It's really quite interesting. But I think the Swedish whiskey would come third. And although this isn't very memorable, it's quite a nice sipper, and at that strength, I really was surprised. I don't think it needs water, so I don't know. Maybe on its own, if I hadn't drunk any of the others first, maybe it would need water. Or maybe after the first few mouthfuls you acclimatise and then you can drink it. But this one reminds me of other Scotch whiskies, so it isn't memorable, whereas all of these have a bit more character to them. And it's quite funny because my order of preference is A, B, C, D, as they're lined up, which is unusual. So yeah, it's been an interesting challenge, and I've got some left over so I can enjoy them on their own and appreciate them without mixing them all together, one after the other. So I'll sign off by saying cheers to Luna for the challenge, and thanks for watching. Stauncher. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.